And we are live with Jake Setterlun. Jake is co-owner and I guess CEO of CRM Voice, a business that he's currently selling. He's a 28-year-old entrepreneur, interesting dude altogether, nine-figure advertiser and seven-figure agency, 6x seven-figure agency owner. You'll notice all these plaques behind him. So these are the Russell Brunson plaques. So he's also an author. If you want to check out his book, The Offer Code. So quite successful guy out there. Excited to jump right into it. Before we do this podcast presented by my company, podpire.com, if you want to start, scale, monetize your podcast, I can help you do that with AI. So getting paid by AdSense, getting paid by sponsors, and getting leads through your podcast, that's all stuff we help you do. I have a free Kindle book that you can get on podpire.com and also a masterclass if you want to accelerate your podcast learning. Jake, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Beautiful, Charles. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I've been doing the business stuff for about 10 years now. I started off in school for engineering. I was like, hey, I want to start a prototyping business as all kids in college want to, kind of start something and do something creative. I started it, realized, you can start a business, but people don't just flood your doors looking for work. So I learned how to do marketing. That led me into doing marketing for other businesses. And yeah, I mean, we're here now, 6 marketing companies, successful marketing companies, I should say, that are all kind of wrapped around CRM Voice as our main software company. But yeah, open to chatting about whatever. Excited to get into it.
So did you launch your SaaS first, your CRM Voice first, or did you launch your agencies first?
Absolutely. So we had our agencies first. We got into the real estate space. So we were actually, CRM Voice, SaaS, that is all built on Go High Level. Before Go High Level, we were still doing marketing. So we were in the real estate and mortgage space, providing them advertising services, social media marketing services. Once Go High Level came out, which is CRM Voice, our SaaS platform, we were like, hey, we can really take this to a next level, provide them that SaaS platform on top of what we're doing and kind of create this full package. And that's really, where everything has kind of come from currently as far as what we're doing.
Right. And your agencies, you scaled them to 7 figures. Tell us about your various agencies and how the scale happened in each.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first one is obviously the hardest, as anybody would say, where we're in the real estate space, right? And we're really figuring out offers. And this is almost a little bit pre-COVID and then kind of during COVID, where we were selling our services for $2,000 a month. Obviously, we built up a good client base. We were doing like $20,000 to $30,000 a month in revenue. COVID hit and we were like, people are dropping. Like, people obviously didn't want to pay us. Nobody knew what was going to happen. So we were like, how can we create a program, a service that is going to withstand the test of time, that we can sell during COVID? And then obviously it turns out that's a really good offer for, after COVID as well. So we ended up creating this Done With You program where we set people up with marketing services. So in the real estate space, that took off during COVID. We got into the mortgage space. And then once we really had that offer of like, hey, we're giving you marketing, you're getting this back end SaaS platform, Go High Level. We took that and we're like, hey, we can do this in any industry. So we took that into insurance, the home service industry space, health and wellness businesses. And that's really how we've been able to scale, is we found a winning offer. And then we just took that to another industry, tweaked some things, changed the brand, changed the language, and then grew the business from there.
Right. So one of my first agency that I scaled to 30K MRR was also targeting realtors. We were doing Facebook ads for realtors. That was pretty terrible. My lesson with that nowadays is don't target an ICP you don't want to be like. So if I don't want to be a realtor, it's like, I'm not sure why I would work with them, even if it generates some good money. Never really worked because they also had the same offers and they weren't really business oriented people. They were more like consumers, which made it hard for them to stand out. So what lessons did you learn from closing and downscaling some of these challenging agencies?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And absolutely would agree with you. I think if you're wanting to sell, we've transformed our offer more into a, again, done with you, kind of more of a coaching with a deliverable type of program. But I would 100% agree with you that there's definitely some challenging niches. Real estate agents are one of them. Insurance is, another. Obviously, when you get into a business that's a legitimate business, they understand they have to invest. It's a little bit easier, but specifically, a lot of our business, a lot of our volume is real estate, insurance, mortgage, where it's kind of like they own their own business and they kind of don't. Customer service has definitely been one of the biggest things that we've had to focus on. It's been one of the biggest challenges as well because you really have to go above and beyond. You have to make sure the real estate agent, the insurance agent, that type of an individual is really seeing the value and adopting your system. Because, like what you said, like they're not business owners, so they really don't get that thinking. They don't get the framework sometimes, and that can definitely be challenging. And we've really had to nail down our support and our systems and our onboarding to make sure that they have a good, transition into using our product.
And the agency that you scaled the highest, was it the LinkedIn ads one? And do LinkedIn ads still work? Because I feel I need to pay like 300 fucking dollars to get one lead on LinkedIn nowadays, while I can get it for probably $2 via AI cold email. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So LinkedIn hasn't really been the one of the bigger ones. It's a little bit newer. It's still something that we've used it for our agencies. It's kind of one of the secrets that we've been able to use it profitably for a long time, and we've taken that to market. So one of the biggest things with LinkedIn is it doesn't work for everybody. It's kind of like it's either going to work really well or it's like you said, you're going to get $300 leads and it's just a waste of money. One of the biggest things that we've learned is there's something called message ads inside of LinkedIn, and absolutely still works. Again, we use it in our agencies. So hitting real estate agents, insurance, mortgage, we can do a message ad that's like, hey, so and so agent, we work with real estate agents. We've helped them do X, Y, and Z. We could help you if you're interested. Click below, book an appointment with us. And we're actually seeing, for some of our best performing campaigns, leads anywhere from 16, 20, $25 a lead. But what's really nice with LinkedIn is you have higher show rates and higher, overall close rates, just because you might pay a little bit more for a lead, but more of those people are getting on calls and they're actually serious about closing. So, it's kind of interesting. We don't offer LinkedIn to our clients. It's something we've used internally, and then in turn, been able to offer more on the B2B side to businesses that are looking to get in front of those type of professionals.
So you're selling your AI voice agency, which is on the back end, go high level, which I had the CEO twice on this podcast, a great guy.
Yep.
Why are you selling the agency, the company first? And what are you expecting to get out of it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Good question. So, um, I think the biggest thing that we've learned along, of this process of entrepreneurship and over the years is it's super easy. And once you have the skills, it's super easy and it's super fun to grow a business from nothing, to take an idea, put it into action, start generating revenue, hire your first employee, and scale to 50, 100K, 200K a month. Once you get to a specific point, you kind of lose that spark because it's like, I'm just a manager, like, or I'm an operations manager. Like, I'm just running the day to day, or I do X, Y, and Z, and it becomes a 9 to 5. So, over the last 3 to 4 years, ever since we went from real estate, kind of started that other brand in mortgage, got into insurance. We've had ups and downs, and it's almost just been kind of like this slow growth over time because just because we're making more money doesn't mean we're profiting more. There's more headaches, more people involved, and like I said, it just becomes a 9 to 5. So that's really the biggest reason for exiting is you get to a point where it's not fun anymore. There's more people involved, profit margins shrink, and it's not the rush of taking something from nothing and turning it into something. But we're definitely looking at a 7-figure exit. It's something that we're not 100% set on yet, but it's definitely going to be good. It'll be fun to have that money, take it, invest into some boring stocks and real estate and whatnot. But we definitely are going to continue in the space and continue to grow and get into other stuff. Voice AI is huge now, AI everything. So we have some cool plans, but I don't think we're going to be in the marketing world, specifically at selling advertising. Besides for some of the LinkedIn stuff for a long time, just because we want to get into other stuff.
Right. So I want to get into two channels that I've been A/B testing as of late, and that you exactly mentioned. So one is SMS, the other is AI voice, AI calls. Starting with SMS, right now I'm A/B testing, like oddly enough, Clavio, which has worked, right? So for example, I sent an SMS campaign to 1,000 folks to get on my podcast, CEOs, and I think 200 replied, which mean that I should get 100 on this podcast, and then I close 10% of these into clients. That's one of my podcast funnel, right? So
Yep.
pretty profitable stuff. Granted that I paid $40 to send to these 1,000 people, which is probably insane cost to you. And that will lead to my next question, but I'm somewhat bullish on this channel. Plus, I could potentially have some AI into these message. I really sent a basic bulk message. I'm also checking out Bird that has a lowest cost per SMS send. Twilio is too complicated for me and for most people. So, what platform would you recommend to send like cheap SMS at scale that is somewhat simple out there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Bird is definitely going to be probably one of the better ones. Again, we're high level people, so for us, it's what is going to integrate into high level. Unfortunately, we have been stuck with Twilio for the longest time. Thankfully, we have some team members that are really good at doing the integrations and the A2P verifications and whatnot, and it's just something that is unfortunately, legacy for us. But Bird is definitely one of the ones that are on our radar when we're able to kind of start fresh and get some new systems in place. Is definitely one of those. And 100% agree with you. I think everybody, especially nowadays, everybody wants to do paid ads, that kind of stuff, and run up their credit card bill and spend a bunch of money on Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn, YouTube ads. I think it's great if you have your systems enabled, but exactly like what you said, you can spend $40 on SMS, and even voice AI is super reliable and cheap now. And you could spend 50, 60, $70. You don't have to hire a setter, and you can book appointments, get positive responses, and literally be generating, leads for a fraction, if not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of what a lead on Facebook or something like that's going to cost you.
Right. And I think the cost per sent message on Bird, for example, on Go High Level, it's like 0.008 cent. I believe with Bird, it's half of that. Like, uh, is that like what should someone pay? Like, let's say that they send a B2B campaign to 10,000 people. How should someone expect? How much should someone expect to pay? Like $400 for that? Is that the typical cost for SMS? And do you feel this is still like competitive next to other platforms like cold email? And last question on that, like, is it legal to actually do so?
Yeah, good question. So, I think sending to 10,000 people, obviously, email is gonna be a fraction of what SMS is. That sounds about right. I think with some platforms you could probably get away with a little bit less, and on something like Twilio, it's going to be a little bit more. But that's right around what you're going to be seeing is in the few $100 range. I think there's a place for cold email and a place for cold SMS or just SMS in general, because the people that are going to reply to email are going to be different than the people that are going to reply to SMS. So and even if you can work it into its own little thing where you're able to build out a good list that does have SMS, email, full names, and you can literally run that in a workflow that is shooting them an email, shooting them a text message at the same time, get crazy with it, do a voicemail drop. You really have a solid cold prospecting workflow that's going to produce and kind of hit, a lot of different angles and produce a lot of different leads. But from a legality standpoint, it's definitely a gray area. Even getting into voice AI, especially with cold, it's gray, but I think it at the end of the day it depends how spammy and how like crazy are you getting with it. Because my opinion is it's pretty ethical if it's a good list. You're not just blasting out everybody and anybody with a phone number. I think when it becomes unethical is when you really start to reach and scale, and you're not, example, you message CEOs. If I were to just get a list of as many people as possible and try to fish for CEOs in that list, I think that's when it becomes unethical, because then it's just spammy. So I think as long as you have a good list, job title, you're reaching the type of people that you want. I think you're good, and I think you're golden.
Good answer. Second question with AI voice. I haven't even found a platform yet, so apparently Go High Level could be a good fit there. Is that what you're using for your AI voice? What other platforms do we have out there? And again, if you can answer the legality questions, because it's funny, right? Like someone that will hear gray zone like me will get excited.
Yep.
Someone that is not a real entrepreneur will be scared. They're risk averse, right?
Yep.
So anyway, if you can answer the tech stack question and the legal one again for the AI calling platform, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I know Go High Level has added in native voice AI recently. We've tested it. It's not where we need it. They also, obviously, it's only for inbound, and it's kind of expensive for what it currently does. So we use a platform called SynthFlow AI. I actually did an interview with them the other day. We're one of the bigger agencies that they have as far as an account. So we have that, and they integrate right with GHL, Go High Level. So their system is directly integrated into every single one of our accounts inside the workflows. It's not like an API call or anything. It's literally they have their own widget and their own action inside of the workflows. So really good, really great platform. Unfortunately, you do need a Twilio account for their system, because they don't provide the phone numbers and whatnot because of that, the legal stuff. But yeah, synthflow.ai. Again, it's been really good. We obviously do a lot of advertising and marketing for our clients. So for us, it's the appointment booking, the nurturing of leads, some follow-ups, asking for referrals and reviews. That's really where our clients and our use case is. But it's definitely one of the most reliable platforms. We've used it a little bit for inbound for some clients too that have more brick and mortar businesses. So if somebody calls them up, being able to book like dental cleanings, we've used it for. That's been one of our use cases. We've tried out some other providers. Air AI was a big provider. They've kind of shot up and shot down very quickly, and unfortunately, I think they just didn't have the structure. But we did use them for a while. But yeah, SynthFlow has been really great. They have a really good team. They're very flexible, but then they've also been pretty fair on pricing. It's not the cheapest thing in the world. It's not SMS. It's not email. But for what it does, it is a solid platform and solid voice AI that can have a communication and conversation with a lead and actually book the appointment right then and there for them.
So I saw your podcast interview and I was like, I know these guys. And that's because I had an actual tab on my Google Chrome exploring them. And I also did the air.ai, and I also understood that the company has gone under pretty badly, right? We don't know what the fuck happened there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be exploring Synflow, connecting their APIs. At first I was like, do they actually do outbound? They don't promote it that much because I think that's what killed Aaron. They probably got legal threats and so forth. But yeah, I'm excited to test it out. What's the cost on that? Let's say that I have my AI call the same SMS list that I have sent before, is it more pricier than SMS, or is it still a good cost per lead?
Yeah, so it's definitely it depends, right? Because cost per lead is always going to be, kind of coming down to the list where they're at. But to give you a breakdown of pricing, so they charge 7 cents a minute. We have, they have a bunch of different plans. We're on an enterprise plan where we pay 7 cents a minute, and then we do get a little bit of a discount on our. They come with minutes in bulk, so we have a discounted rate, and then overage is 7 cents a minute. So it's pretty affordable. We're able to rebill that, so we're able to charge 17 cents a minute to our customers. If you break it down, you could argue that it's just as expensive as a setter. If you went out, hired a setter on Upwork from, you know, the Philippines or something like that, paid them a couple dollars an hour. I think the reliability is much better. I think it's more scalable. And to be honest, it's been very solid from a prompting standpoint. With Air, you mentioned you had to write the whole script out. It was kind of a pain in the ass. With
Yeah.
Sip, it's like it's a chat GBT prompt. So it's literally you're calling this lead because of X, Y, and Z. This is your goal. Ask them these qualifying questions or get this information out of them. If you get this information and they accept, book an appointment. So it's kind of cool. You can prompt it like chat GBT, which is obviously huge for use case and usability versus Air. But conversion rates have been good. Again, I think it really comes down to if it's cost effective, as far as like your list, because like I said, if you're hitting a cold list, it's probably going to be just as expensive as having a VA calling. But for warm leads, I mean, you're literally talking about less than $1 to take that lead to a booked appointment. So it's definitely cost effective, and there's definitely a place for it.
I'm bullish on it. Enough for me to try it, right? Like if the growth hacker Charles is onto SMS marketing and AI calling, I think, yeah, people should probably look at these things because my cost per lead with cold email AI right now is probably $2 to $3. Leads that normally cost people 200, $300. Yeah, I'm very bullish on these two channels. Let's see where I can scale it. One last question before I let you go. What kind of reactions do you get to an AI? Do most people not know that it's an AI? Do they think it's a human? Do you get like people trolling it? Like what's happening on these recordings?
Absolutely. So I would say from a consumer standpoint, so we're talking when our clients are using it for their leads, very, very, very few people know that it's AI. It's that good. One of the actual things you can do in the platform in Synth 2, you might like this, is you can hook up 11 labs and mimic your voice. So it's literally like you talking. But from a consumer standpoint, if a real estate agent's calling a homeowner lead, homeowner 99% of the time does not know that it's AI. Now, on our sales calls, on our sales demo calls, you definitely get some of the people trying to trick the AI up, trolling it a little bit. Some of them know it's AI. Obviously, we're telling them, but we use it within our sales process, and some of them won't even notice. And we'll say on the demo call, like, "Hey, did you talk to our setter?" And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, they confirmed the appointment," and then we'll be like, "Oh, that was AI," and they won't know. And then again, like I said, some people will troll it. Some people will be like, "Oh, is this?" They'll literally say out loud, like, "Is this AI?" And the AI will be like, no, this is not AI. This is, a real person or whatever.
The
So,
AI like says it's not an AI.
yeah, so you can program it to say whatever you want. So, if you want to be
I would
transparent,
tell them it's an AI. Like, I
you,
mean,
so we don't internally just because on the sales call, we like it to be kind of like a shock factor, like, oh, we're not AI. But most of our clients, if we'll have it in there in the question and answer that if people ask, is this AI? We'll say, yes, we're an AI assistant for X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
right. But if you're selling AI, I mean, you should mention it's AI. Like people will just like be stronger on the selling point. I think this is fascinating. I'm definitely gonna test it and revert to you if I have some questions on that. Where can people find out more about you, Jake?
Absolutely. Yeah. So just jakesetterlun.com is going to have the most information about me. Again, we're transitioning out of the agency space into some personal branding stuff. We have a lot of cool stuff going on, and yeah, would love to hear from everybody.